The Vancouver Canucks lose 5-1 to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's talk about it. So the Canucks are on a 3-game winning streak heading into this game against the Penguins. 2 games left on this road trip, and against the Penguins, they should be able to beat them and get 2 points. And against Nashville, it's kind of the same situation, right? Teams with high quality players, but in terms of an overall team outlook, not the greatest, but heading into this game, a lot of absences for the Canucks. So Brock Besser still out with personal reasons. He's expected to potentially be back against the Nashville Predators. Philip Hedl obviously taking that big hit from Tom Wilson. He is out indefinitely. Teddy Bluger still out as well, or at the very least he was out for this game, and we don't really know why, if there's an injury or personal reasons, whatever the case may be. Jonathan Lekkerimaki also injured, so we have a lot of AHL players called up and playing in tonight's game. So, of course, Adam Foote had to make a lot of line changes. So the first line being Jake DeBrusk with Elias Pettersson and Connor Garland. The second line, at least that was deployed tonight, was Kiefer Sherwood with Evander Kane and Atu Ratu. And the third line being the Abbey line with Archie Baines, Max Sasson, and Linus Karlsson. On the fourth line, that leaves Drew O'Connor with Niels Oman making his season debut and Joseph Labate making his season debut as well. And on defense, there was one change for Victor Mancini. It was Pierre-Olivier Joseph stepping in alongside of Elias Pettersson, and the other 2 lines stayed the same. It was Marcus Pettersson with Tyler Myers, as well as Quinn Hughes with Philip Hronek. So to start this game, it was Connor Garland, 2 minutes in, or about a minute and a half, walks in and snipes it, low blocker on Artur Silovs, making his first start against the Vancouver Canucks, his former team, and makes it 1-0. And that would really kick off the game for the Canucks, at least for the opening 5 minutes. The Canucks were really all over the Pittsburgh Penguins. The shots were like 6-0 at some point, and it looked like the Canucks were going to cruise to another victory on the road. And then after Evander Kane takes a hooking penalty, I mean, at this point, the Penguins were all over Vancouver. The Canucks couldn't get the puck out of their own end, and Evander Kane takes a hooking penalty. The Penguins go to the power play. Their first power play unit doesn't really create too many opportunities. Their second unit comes out and was actually showing a lot of offensive pressure on the Canucks. And with about 30 seconds left, they only had that much time to operate. And it was Justin Brazeau and Anthony Mantha really just creating something out of nothing. And the Canucks are still able to kill the penalty off, but the pressure doesn't end there from the Penguins. And it goes back to the point to Witherspoon, who shoots. And there might have been a deflection. Like, to me personally, it looked like it went straight in, but they gave it to Connor Dewar, who tips it in, and it's 1-1. So then the Canucks take a penalty to end the period. And again, another timely penalty at the end of the period where they shouldn't be taking penalties. Just get to the end of the period. But luckily, the Penguins don't score, and it ends up being 1-1 to end the period. So really, to summarize the first period, the Canucks were dominating the first 5 minutes of this game, and then it was all Pittsburgh after that. They get the goal that they deserve, but at the very least, it's 1-1 heading into the second period. So what do the Canucks do? They absolutely turtle and do nothing to get themselves back in this game. It was all Pittsburgh again. They just picked up where they left off in the first period. And at the very least, the Canucks finally got some sustained zone pressure. It was the third line of the Abbotsford line and the fourth line. But Drew O'Connor takes a penalty behind the Pittsburgh net in the offensive zone, and the Penguins go back to the power play. And like I had mentioned at this point, the second power play unit for Pittsburgh was a lot more deadly than the top unit that had Crosby and Malkin and Letang and whoever else. But it was Justin Brazeau as well as Anthony Mantha really making things happen on this second unit. And so what ends up happening is Tommy Novak picks up the puck on the right-hand side of the Canucks net, and really Elias Pettersson and Philip Hronek were unable to close out in time as Tommy Novak walks in and snipes it on Kevin Lankinen. There wasn't even a screen in front. There was nobody covering the eyes of Lankinen. This one beats him clean, and the Penguins go up 2-1. And so now the Canucks are down 2-1, so you expect some sort of fight back, some sort of urgency from them. But they end the second period with only 3 shots on target on Artur Silovs, and you're not going to win a game by doing that. And Pittsburgh finally get rewarded for their efforts in the first period and in the second period in terms of just dominating play. So Sidney Crosby actually gets waved out of the faceoff. It's Ricard Raquel, and Crosby comes off of the right half wall and he snipes it clean on Lankinen into the top corner. Now, again, another goal on Lankinen where he had nobody in front of him. Now, I know it's Crosby, but if I'm being totally honest, looking at the replay, it was more of a fluttering puck that went into the net rather than a clean snipe. So I know it's Crosby, but I want Lankinen to at least get a piece of it, and it just goes in and it's 3-1. So again, now the Canucks down by a multi-goal lead, and it's the Abbotsford line again back at it. They're really the only line creating. Notice how I have nothing to say about Elias Pettersson, Jake DeBrusk, and Connor Garland, and the other line of Sherwood, Kane, and Ratu. It was the Abbey line that was really the only line that could have some sort of sustained zone pressure, and Max Sasson comes so close to scoring to make it 3-2, but he's unable to do so. The Penguins go down the other way. It's Evgeny Malkin who gets a step on his man, makes a power move to the net. It goes off of Lankinen's pad, and Max Sasson, who's still on the ice. At this point, I think he was on the ice for over a minute, and he's tracking back, but he can't get in front of Anthony Mantha, who gets his stick onto it, and the puck's heading towards the net, and then he gets another stick on it, and he puts it into the back of the net. So a swing that could have been 3-2 ends up being 4-1. And that's how it would end going into the third period. Now, at this point, being down by 3 goals is not ideal, but we know the Canucks can come back. These guys have been fighting back from deficits the entire season so far, it seems. And so it's definitely possible. But the Canucks can't really generate too much offense, and it ends up being another power play goal. And again, it's the second unit for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, at this point in the game, it's the beginning of the third period. You're down by 3, and you take a penalty. Now, if you kill off this penalty, it could give you some momentum to then generate some offense and tie the game. But it's just a random shot in by Chris Letang from the neutral zone into the left corner. It bounces back to Anthony Mantha, who then does a backhand 360 hook pass into the slot. And Justin Brazeau, who's right-handed, doesn't even get a one-timer shot away or a clean shot. It's just a shovel into the top corner. And another goal that Lankinen probably should have had, but at the same time, it really felt like the Canucks were just checked out at this point. And then, yeah, that's pretty much how the game would end. The Canucks not really fighting back, not creating too many chances. Artur Silov stops all but one of the Canucks' 24 shots. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the game. I mean, in terms of my thoughts and things that maybe could have gone better, I mean, the Canucks lineup tonight, you have way too many AHL level players going up against an experienced Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Like, if this was maybe the Anaheim Ducks, maybe the San Jose Sharks, you might find success with this lineup, but you're going up against Crosby and Malkin, who are on different lines. We saw the Malkin line have a ton of success against the Abbotsford line. The second power play unit against, whoever we had out there. It was just a tough night overall for every single player in the lineup. And what concerns me going forward is the fact that we have Nashville next, who is very similar to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Then we have Montreal, one of the hottest teams in the league right now. We have the Edmonton Oilers, and they just finally got their first win to break this losing streak that they've been on. And you have McDavid and Draisaitl to go up against. And we saw what happened last time the Canucks played Edmonton, and we're not even going to have half of those players, most likely. And then we play JT Miller and the New York Rangers on Tuesday. So a lot of games for the Canucks, and it's potentially going to be a very, very bad stretch of games. Now, I don't think the Canucks are going to be able to make some sort of trade or change that's going to really change this lineup and change the trajectory of the games moving forward. So they're going to just kind of have to play through it with the current lineup of games that we have. It looks like we're going to be struggling to, at least get a point out of some of these games. So it's going to be very tough to see. In terms of the box score, if we look at the time on ice actually for the Canucks, I mean, Elias Pettersson playing 16 minutes, Jake DeBrusk playing 13 and a half minutes. It just doesn't really make sense to me why the Aatu Ratu line had most of the ice time tonight when you're away from home and you don't have last change. So Adam Foote was intentionally putting out the Ratu line more than the Pedersen line. Quinn Hughes again just looked kind of checked out. I mean, he did try to generate offense, but it just seemed like when the offense wasn't there for him, he was just kind of giving up a little bit. And so really bad body language from your captain, and especially with the whole situation around him looming, it's really not a good look. Pierre-Olivier Joseph had a tough game tonight. I mean, he did block a shot, and that might have affected him the rest of the night. But turning the puck over, taking penalties, I mean, he really did everything wrong tonight. So a tough game. So we might see Tom Willander make his NHL debut against the Nashville Predators. That is yet to be seen, but it's something that we could potentially look forward to. So all in all, a very frustrating and disappointing game for the Vancouver Canucks, especially after the first 5 minutes where it looked like they were going to take the game to Pittsburgh, but it did turn out to be that way. Artur Silovs gets the win against his former team, and the Canucks are back in action against the Nashville Predators on Thursday. And like always, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Peace.